Hello, Dr. Richard. My name is Abdul Karim, and I am in the fourth quarter of Master of Science in Information and Cybersecurity program at ITU. This trimester, I attended a technical event related to my field of study, which was talking security, cloud breach incident response, and forensics. This event I attended towards the fulfillment of uh, professional development networking event and presentation requirement for INT 593. The technical event was organized by the Silicon Valley Cybersecurity Meetup Group, uh, and it was scheduled on December 3 at 5:20 p.m. PST. It was an online meeting organized over WebEx, and the host was Oz Topgul. Oz works as application security engineer at Fortinet, and he has been doing web application penetration testing, mobile application pen testing, malware analysis, incident response, and blue teaming for the past 10 years at Fortinet. And the speakers for this event was Mike Rago, who is CISSP certified and is currently working for CloudKnox. Mike has authored a couple of books, Data Hiding, and he also authored Mobile Data Loss Threats and Countermeasures. He's a frequent speaker at cybersecurity conferences such as Black Hat, DEF CON, RSA, Gartner, OWASP, and SANS. He has been awarded Pentagon Certificate of Appreciation for contributions, and he also built tools that are still to date used in Department of Defense in their forensics toolkit. And he is an active member of Forbes Technology Council, and and a lot more. Those were the few highlights from his career. And here is the meetup poster, the organizing community, and then the actual presentation by Mike Rago, which was focused on cloud breach incident response and forensics. The core agenda, the primary agenda of the event was focusing on centralizing and monitoring cloud permissions across different identity providers such as Okta, Active Directory, Ping, Identity, as well as cloud vendors like GCP, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and whatnot. And the core purpose of this Cloud Knox is to centralize and monitor all the cloud permissions that are across all the infrastructures spreading on multiple cloud vendors. This would allow like one point access to all security controls to maintain tighter control of users and their privileges and roles that are assigned to them. So what this platform provides is a capability to assess, like gain insights into what are permissions, identities, and how those permissions are used by those identity providers or cloud service providers. So you can basically assess all these insights, and then you can manage you can manage all these permissions based on the insights that you have uh, gained, like on demand, just in time, on a click of a button. And you can also monitor the activity and create alerts whenever you encounter an anomaly. uh, those are the capabilities that are provided by it, by CloudKnox. And moving on to our next slide, we know that all these major cloud vendors and all the services that they provide, they have like ton of uh, ton of permissions that go into each and individual services. And we came to know that there are more than 40,000 permissions across clouds spanning across multitude of services. And the insights are more than 50% of these permissions are so harmful that it can destroy your cloud infrastructure, and more than 95% of those permissions can have negative impact on your infrastructure. And the irony is, in reality, less than 1% of these permissions are actually used. The remaining 99% are literally excessive permissions that can be manipulated to cause severe harm to your cloud infrastructures. And who were my audiences? The core audiences for this event were cloud security professionals who provide day-to-day security to all the cloud infrastructure, as well as professionals from the forensics who perform analysis when there is an incident, when there is a security breach, when there is a data breach, and they try to provide solutions to how to further strengthen the infrastructure. And during this presentation, Mike shared a lot of his insights on recent data breaches that happened. One of which is like we all know, a major credit card service provider. And in what happened in this scenario is the hacker gained access to the infrastructure through a misconfigured firewall and assumed an IAM role, identity and access management role, attached to an EC2 instance, Elastic Cloud Computing instance. And with the help of this IAM role, this IAM role had excessive privileges granted to it. That was the the, the core problem. An IAM role had more privileges than it actually needed for that specific EC2 instances. So what the hacker did is he made use of these privileges, and through these privileges he gained access to S3 buckets, Amazon S3 buckets, which for storing sensitive information. And he copied the content of these buckets into another buckets, and he was able to leak out this customers sensitive data, which was the credit card company's sensitive data. You can assume that a lot of information such as social security numbers and annual income was potentially leaked. And there were about 100 million customers who were impacted back then. And Mike also shared insights on another cloud incident, cloud security incident, where hacker gained access to the API keys through misconfigured AWS compute instance. And once he had access to these API keys, he was able to use these API keys to extract information from the AWS relation database service. And he gained access to 13,000 customers certificates, private keys and passwords. In addition to this, Mike spoke about the permission risks with Amazon Web Services and the Google Cloud Platform, the topmost permission risks, such as external access, insider threat, lateral movement, privilege escalation. And then he spoke about uh, cloud identity kill chain analysis, all the stages, reconnaissance, what what can be targeted, infiltration, how it can be how it can be infiltrated. For an example, if the service does not have a dual factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, it can be readily compromised. And then how this hacker, once infiltrating into the system, can potentially perform a privilege escalation. And then how he can traverse through other systems in the network and then exfiltrate, like copy data and leak it outside the secure environment. And speaking of my experience, so we until now I have heard about a lot of cloud security incidents, but this level of detail which Mike Rago provided, I wasn't really familiar with. It was a steep learning for me, like what could potentially go wrong in a real environment, and how systems security can be compromised, what are the aftermath of it, and details as such. The environment was pretty much intense because there were a lot of debate that was going on during the first when he was explaining about the first incident, which was a credit card company. A lot of speculations there, who was the actual company that got affected there, and then a lot of solutions that were also provided. And through this interaction, we also came I also came across that one of the security incident happened because one of the engineers actually mistakenly pushed secret API keys into the Git repository, which was later scanned and identified by hackers somehow. They gained access to these API keys, and then boom, it's in news all over. Uh, yeah, and the other good thing was some we get to ask Mike about some of the key things that could help us in our early career to learn and improve on our skills. And we also got to talk again with Oz, who is the core organizer of the Silicon Valley cybersecurity meetup, and give updates about our progress in our coursework, our internships, as well as take his critical feedback and how to build further on it. Overall, it was a very great experience, and thank you all. Thank you, Professor.